This tradition has not begun yesterday or last week or last year. This is from the beautiful zamana of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When the Sahaba would stand in the barigah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and they would bless their tongues with the naat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in his presence, and he recited this. What does he say? Someone beautifully translates his couplet into Urdu. And this is a mentality. This is an emotion that we should have today as those who recite Naat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Look at the sabab of Sayyidina Aslam bin Thabit radiyallahu anhu. What is he saying? He says, Tarif kar raha hoon main khairul anam ki izzat buland hoti hai mere kalam ki sabri sallallahu alayhi wa wasalam alayhi ya Habib Allah. We talked about fragrance, we talked about mahek. Now let's talk about the mahek of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. उनकी महक ने दिल के गुंजे खिला दिए हैं, उनकी महक ने दिल के गुंजे खिला दिए हैं, जिस they would take that opportunity for him to collect the Pasina Mubarak of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Pasina, if you look at the human nature, if you were to, today is a very hot day, you were to go on a run, play some football, do some exercise in a very hot and humid day, what will happen? You will sweat. And this sweat, this will cause a bad odor to emanate from your body until you go home, until you wash up and do, have a shower, do ghusl or whatever. But when Rasulullah sallalahu alayhi wasallam would sweat, that beautiful pasina mubarak that would be zahir upon the emanated face of Rasulullah, that beautiful pasina mubarak upon the illuminated face of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that would gather in the beautiful beard of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We have many occasions when those companions of Rasulullah, the Sahaba Kiram, would take opportunities, they would get a container and start to fill that container with the sweat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The mother of Hazrat Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu, Hazrat Sulaim radiallahu anha, she saw this opportunity. She quickly rushes to get a container. And as she is filling the container with the sweat mubarak of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the Messenger of Allah wakes up. He wakes up from his rest and he asks, he says, what are you doing? What is this? What is the meaning of this? She explains, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, this beautiful sweat of yours, this pasina mubarak of yours, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we gather it, Ya Rasulullah, and we attain the most beautiful of all fragrances from it, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. You had another man who was marrying off his daughter. And this, for a father of a daughter is a very difficult part in his life. That daughter who he has raised, who he will do anything for. That daughter who was the coolness of his eyes all his life. Who when he would come home from a long day, enter, and that daughter of his would come and all his worries would leave him. When he would see his smiling daughter, this Sahabi Rasul was sending his daughter to the next chapter of her life. This Sahabi Rasul thinks to himself, I love my daughter is very dear to me. I want to get my daughter a gift that she will remember me by for the rest of her life. I will get her a gift, a fragrance, a beautiful fragrance that she will never forget her father from. What does he do? Logically, you'd think that he'd have to go to the souk, the marketplace, and go and barter, and go and bargain with a fragrance seller, and get a fragrance from him, and then take it to his daughter and give this gift to his daughter. But no, he's a ghulam of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He doesn't need the souk or the fragrance seller. He goes to Barigah Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he asks for fragrance from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The Messenger of Allah orders for a container, and this container is filled. The container is filled with the beautiful pasina of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He gives this fragrance, the beautiful sweat to this man, to this individual amongst the Sahaba Kiram. He takes it home to his daughter. He gives the dani, the container, to his daughter. That night it said, she merely opens the bottle. दानी सिर्फ खोल देती हैं, अपने जिस्म या कपड़ों पर नहीं लगाती, बस सिर्फ दानी खोल देती हैं. She really opens the bottle, and it said the entire city was illuminated with the fragrance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That house of this family was then renamed the house of the fragrant ones through the barakah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That mehek of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that illuminated the Sahaba Kiram, that mehek of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which led the Sahaba to the ziyarat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. आजकल अगर मैं आपको ढूंढ रहा हूँ या आप मुझको ढूंढ रहे हैं, ये मोबाइल फोन हम निकालते हैं पॉकेट से, एक बार नंबर मिला कि यार कहाँ हो, मैं उधर पहुँचता हूँ, और फिर हम बात करते हैं, मिलते हैं. नहीं, उस दौर में कोई मोबाइल फोन नहीं थे. सहाबा किराम गलियों मदीना शरीफ की गली में चलते. They would take the path of Madinatul Munawwara. They would take the beautiful streets of Madina Sharif, and they would begin to find the smell of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They would begin to search for the fragrance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Sahaba, they narrate, they say that we would get this small concentration, this small, whiff of the beautiful pasina of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as we would follow it, iska picha karna shuru kar dete. As we would follow this beautiful smell, we would then find more of this fragrance. The fragrance would increase, the concentration would increase, and finally we would be blessed with the beautiful ziyarat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then we would sit in the barigah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That barigah, that ziyarah which the Sahaba Kiram took day in, day out, night in, night out. They would leave from the court of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then they would yet again, Ya Phir, mujhe ziyarat-e-Rasool chahiye. You would yearn to go back to the ziyarat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I want to see that beautiful face once again. I want to see the beautiful countenance once again. I want to see the beautiful nur once again. Imagine we were that fortunate to be there in that time, to see that nur of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Many in that time, they wouldn't need any dawah, they wouldn't need any call from Rasulullah. You have the likes, one, Hazrat Abdullah radiallahu ta'ala from the people of Medina, when at that time he was one of the scholars of the Jews. He was one of the learned of the Jews. And when he hears that the final messenger is said to be coming to al-Madinatul Munawwara, he says, let me take a look at this man. Let me go and take a look at him. He was a very learned man amongst the Jews, very well honored and respected amongst the Jews. And what does he do? He finds himself a place to stand, to await, and to do istiqbal of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to do ziyarat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And finally, jab उनकी आंख में लग जाती है, जब when his eye, his nazar is blessed with the countenance of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, दिल भी खुल जाता है, दिल के अंदर भी ईमान दाखिल हो जाता है, हर चीज किस्मत भी खुल जाती है, मुकद्दर भी रोशन हो जाता है. Hazrat Abdullah, he doesn't need the dawah, he doesn't need the call, come and enter Islam. He looks at the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he concludes and he deduces that this face cannot be the face of a liar. This face is not the face of a juta. This is the face of the final messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He accepts Islam with the beautiful ziyarat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Abhi Shawwal ka mahina guzar raha hai. You know, in this month, the battle of Uhud took place. When the battle of Uhud took place, the sacrifice of the Sahaba in the battle of Uhud, subhanallah, subhanallah, we could be here for hours and hours talking about the sacrifices of the Sahaba Kiram, what they gave for Rasulullah in the battle of Uhud. Subhanallah, in the battle of Uhud, we see another occasion, we see another scene where a woman, a lady amongst the Sahaba, she is told about 3 calamities. What is subhanallah? 3 calamities. She is told in one time, in one place. What is she told? They tell her, your father has been martyred. Your father has been made shaheed. Then they tell her, your husband has been made shaheed. Your husband, you've lost your husband as well. Then they tell her that your brother has also been made shaheed. You know what her response was? At that time, can you imagine, one after the other, how close and how beautiful is the relationship of the father, the husband and the brother. This lady told one by one, all of these beautiful relationships that you held on this earth, on this planet, they have left you today. What does she respond? ما فعل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Tell me about the messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم. Don't tell me, Yani, don't tell me about my father. Don't tell me about my husband. Don't tell me about my brother. Now I want to know. Tell me about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. She is told that he is well. The messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is well. She's given the good news. Then what did she say? Take me to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Take me to the Barigah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. She wanted to cool her eyes with the ziyarat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They take her to Barigah Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And what does she say? What does she say when she sees the messenger of Allah? When she sees the light of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? She says, Ya Rasulullah, kullu musibatin ba'daka jalal. She says, Ya Rasulullah, all my tribulations are insignificant after seeing you, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. After seeing you are okay, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This kalam, my throat will not give me backing, but I will, recite this kalam, for you simply. Imam al-Sunnah, how does he say? उनके निसार कोई कैसे ही रंज में हो कि जब याद आ गए हैं सब गम बुला दिए हैं. That the one who is sacrificed for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the one who is everything, Jan, Mal, everything is for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What sorrows will he feel? What sorrow will come his way when he remembers Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? बस याद आ जाए, जो भी गम हो, जो भी मुश्किल हो, जो भी मशक्कत हो, बस याद आ गए, सब गम भुला दिए.